we know that the death toll into the Gaza Strip is well above 62,000 killed, and I don't see any kind of political victory or even victory from a war front like Gaza. And of course, we know that Donald Trump has suggested that Israel has accepted a ceasefire deal and had warned Hamas of consequences if they have rejected the offer. And we know the global flotilla is on way to Gaza, trying to break the Israeli blockade of the Palestinian enclave where a famine has been declared. This time the vessels have arrived in Tunisia yesterday, and they will are to arrive at Gaza in a few days. But every time they do that, the IDF always counterbalances them and of course gets them deported. And there's no other way of trying to get humanitarian aid across to these innocent people and families who are dying not from the gunfire or from aggression, but dying from starvation. I want to get your matter on this issue.
It is again very sad that, you see, we are watching for now, it's been about how many years? 3.5, 4 years?
Yes.
It all started with that abduction of Israeli citizens by Hamas's attack, and then it continues. Now I think there are about 10 plus Israelis left. Some are alive, some are dead already. So probably they would agree to handing them over, but what will happen? What is the Hamas's future? You see, that's what is the they are Israelis and the Americans are insisting on the complete dismemberment of Hamas and their organizations. But I think that is they're being very one-sided. There is, although they are not elected, but they do have support across the Israeli Palestinian population, and they have a power base. So if compromise means any peace deal or ceasefire means there has to be some give and take. But I hope that that happens. But what again I'll say, the total we are all talking here, thousands of miles away,
yes,
but there is total silence of the Arab population, whose main problem, this is an Arab problem, okay? But you see these governments, and I mean, if they are dying, you see the amount of food they are wasting in places like Saudi Arabia or other Muslim countries. Why can't we come forward? Why can't we, this peace flotilla, I mean, why don't you, the Turkish flotilla comes in or the Egyptian, it doesn't happen. So actually we are also passive, the Muslim Islamic world. If we could do, if there is a Islamic world at all, if exists or not, I have my doubts. But if at all, but if they are the neighbors, they should be doing more, you know, and more positive. But again, unfortunately, one can argue that their situation is such they cannot act at all without the United States support. But I hope something happens. But as it says, you know, when you discuss about Palestine, it started in 1914, 1918, means about 100 years for this instability is going on, and so many wars, so many people have died, and I really don't see a very, you know, maybe not even in my lifetime, peace will come back in that area.
I want to get everyone's attention towards Asia and of course Asia region. Let me brief all our viewers regarding what has taken place. We know that the SCO summit, the Shanghai Cooperation Organization Summit, the 25th of its kind and the 5th time it's being held in China, and how the world leaders has been there, how their attendance, how it had. And we know that Xi Jinping, the Chinese leader, and as well as Narendra Modi of India, and joined by Vladimir Putin of Russia. The nexus between these three leaders took the narrative and the optics in America very drastically. I want to understand how someone who's quite a veteran in Bangladesh's armed forces, how he thinks about this matter, especially because China has influence over not only Bangladesh but also our imminent neighbors, India and Pakistan as well. How do you see this issue?
Yeah, Pakistani Prime Minister was also there.
As well, yes.
But of course the focus was, because it's a economic summit, the focus was on China, India and Russia. And they represent a very large proportion of the world's population and the GDP. So, and there are many others. I think this was they are now looking forward to an alternative to the traditional Western IMF, World Bank, and the what do you call Washington Accord type of thing, you know, back to Asia, because as we know that in 21st century slowly the global economy shift, the center of gravity is coming more towards closer to us.
Yes.
So this was a display, and Xi Jinping used the full advantage of his location and his, you know, he was the main actor in the whole thing, and he was letting the world know that we have a alternative leadership. I mean, so far there was, you see, 19th century was Britain's, the 20th century was American century. Now 21st century maybe a Chinese century. He was trying to give that, and that after the summit, not only in summit, after that there was that 80th anniversary of their victory over Yen.
Yes.
The world's biggest parade that I was interviewed by one of the Chinese TV on that day, same as soon as the meeting, the parade was over. So, and I said that, you see, in my long career in the Air Force, I have attended many a parade, I have participated, and we have also seen parades at home and abroad. But this was something which was unparalleled, and it sent a number of messages to the world. It shows the Chinese leadership is now matured enough to take the leadership politically, economically, and militarily. And probably the aim was that is not to threaten anyone, but to show that we are a stable country, we are economically stable, we are militarily moving forward, and any aggressive attempt by a singular superpower will not go unchallenged.
Yes.
So, and I said in that interview also, I said that probably this is creating a more balanced world geostrategic situation, because after the fall of the Soviet Union, during the era post-Second World War, there was a military balance between Warsaw Pact countries and the NATO. And we used to talk of a possible nuclear madness, but it never happened, and the balance was kept and the conflicts were kept in a lower ebb. Now what has happened after this, when Soviet Union broke up, and so the world has, there is only one superpower, and that superpower is, as we have been discussing, acting here and there, and
yes,
from Afghanistan to the Iraq and to Libya and to African countries and all across, and at their own whims. And now when he's next door to he thinks of he takes off taking over Greenland. He talks of annexing Canada. Now that sort of situation will lead the world to a very unstable future. Now China, if it plays cool, you see, they can have the balance. But then again, Chinese, one thing is there that, to a larger audience, again, we are talking about, if you talk of democracy, the type of values that we have here we are used to in most of the countries, Western, of course, Western countries, there is probably a lot of conflict also. And I would expect that the China, as it develops, matures, it also mends its own neighborhood. Korea, Taiwan,
yes.
Japan, South China Sea, borders with India,
yes.
And emerges as a champion of peace rather than as you said, the Department of War.
But sir, I want to have a very short answer from you. It's going to be my last question to you on the program today. Just very shortly, sir, where do you see Bangladesh, and how do you want to see Bangladesh in the coming days?
Well, first of all, I'm looking forward to a very peaceful participatory election.
Yes.
And there are a lot of things go on social medias that we want this interim government to continue for 5 years, 6 years. You see, frankly speaking, it is not in our best interest.
Yes.
Bengalis by nature, they would like to, nobody has survived here more than two terms. Only thing Sheikh Hasina tried, and it ended up in a disaster. You see, Ayub Khan tried, it ended up in disaster. Ershad tried, it ended up in a disaster. So I think a democratic and a participatory election, that people vote freely and give their choice, and we have an election, and then we come back to the normal course of action. Today in Bangladesh, unfortunately, the law and order situation is very bad. And if the law and order situation is not up to the standard, how will they expect investment?
Yes.
I mean, who will come? Even if the local people don't invest, how the foreigners will come? And billions of dollars. Only today in the Daily Star, you know, they have there is a in the business column that the Vietnam exports $25 billion worth of leather goods, and we have only 1-point-something billion dollars.
We're not being able to make the mark.
No, and whereas we have the raw materials, but just because he says that I'm forgetting his name, and he's a leather and he says that it takes, for any business, it takes 6 months for any project to in Bangladesh,
Yes.
but it will be done in weeks in Cambodia or in Vietnam or in Indonesia even. So why should people come until unless we improve our this thing? And also the education sector, you see, it is in serious problem, because I myself is in a university, so I know that our future generation, if we don't train them and prepare them for the coming decades, once these resources are wasted, you will never get it back.